I'm Koda.
And I'm Isyander.
And that intro is...
It's okay.
I need to come up with a new one.
No, it's okay. It
Always
works.
painful.
Yeah.
That aside, today we're going to pick up where we left off on the Battletech stint by actually covering how we got to the area, the main area in Battletech. Last time we didn't really talk about it. We kind of talked about the before era. If I were to analog it to our normal 40k stuff, we talked about the heresy.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're going to talk about like the interim, the space between like 30 and 40k. To catch people up to speed, since it's been a little bit since we did the Battletech video, and to remind you what we did, there was a space program. We did a space program. Ronald Reagan's space, Star Wars, I guess, took off, and that shaped history and like everything for the next 700 years.
Soviet Union's still around by 2011.
2012.
2012, yes.
2012, yes. Series of spaceborne dictators cause the galaxy, or not the galaxy, but the inner sphere, kind of a weird area around Earth, to fracture into 5 zones, and Earth in the middle. Somebody causes a coup. Earth in the middle is left to someone, and now we're going to discuss the figuring out of who owns that now. That's what the succession wars are, is who's going to sit on the throne of the Star League. So that's what we're going to cover.
And as with every war for succession, it was certainly quick and not brutal and not bad at all.
Quick and easy, and we figured it out with an easy discussion, and no, we didn't.
Yeah. But
the top general has left the building. AT&T is left in charge, and that's exactly where we're going to start with the Succession Wars period. Now, before we start these military games of succession, I'm going to introduce you to the players in a little bit more detail than the last video, because we kind of just covered them as like blue, red, yellow, green, and purple.
Yeah.
That's it. So if we look at the map here, we can see there are 5 successor states, and the dot in the middle that's Earth there. That's Earth. Remember that. They all kind of radiate out from that. You cannot miss it. From the top left, going clockwise, we have the Liao Commonwealth, led by House Steiner, the Draconis Combine, led by House Kurita, the Federated Sons, led by House Davion, the Capellan Confederation, led by House Liao, and the Free Worlds League, tangentially directed by House Marik.
Okay.
The Liao Commonwealth are space Germans, but Fasacorp didn't go for the low-hanging fruit of modeling them after that kind of German.
A very specific window, post-Weimar, pre-modern Germany.
No, when they penned this canon, this was the Germany of the mid-'80s. Cue the various edits of 90s era BMW, Porsche, and Audi that are going to be playing on the screen right
Germany.
now.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
This is the Germany known for its engineering advancements and perceived precipitating economic successes.
Engineering parentheses fun.
Yes.
Sorry, because there was some engineering going on before.
Yes. The Liao Commonwealth has its roots in 3 mercantile unions, pooling their resources around the time that megalomaniacal general was doing his wars of persuasion to reunite the inner sphere. So they kind of just pulled together to go, nope, that's not happening to us. And since that period of time, wealth and power has stuck to them like flies on shit. The area of the inner sphere they settled in was incredibly resource dense, and so even when struggle found them, which it did a couple times, they had enough valuable resources cached in the back and an industrial foundation enough to build back up pretty quickly after that, as well as generally they just had a lot of business acumen, so they're smart enough to pull themselves back up. They're led by archons, which they used to be a council of like 9 until someone with enough coup power made it 1 archon. And though you might expect for that to mean their government is like classical evil tyrant stuff, they're actually pretty chill. Their leaders are kind of like if we had the premium subscription to President Plus. The Archon directly controls the military, President.
Yeah.
And though they have the final say over most government stuff, they kind of trust the democratic process to let people like dictate what they need and want. So that's kind of how they operate. It's kind of like, you know how the royal family in England technically has the final say on most things, but like Parliament deals with most stuff. It's kind of that. They're also really rich. Like I cannot stress enough. They are extremely rich.
Yeah.
There is a joke within the community that they are so rich, their scouting lances are just heavy mechs that they field, hoping somebody will shoot at them.
Perfect.
So, that general wealth also does mean, aside from the joke, that they have probably the best standard of living for your average civilian amongst any of the successor states you see here. So, like, if you wanted to live anywhere within the Lyran Commonwealth, is not a bad place to be. You get your education, you get public services, you get, like, not destroyed in a war.
That's always good.
It's always a good time. We're going to go to the opposite end of the spectrum, and we're going to go to the Draconis Combine. These red guys. Standards of living are going to take a nosedive. The Combine is also led by a singular lord, but in their case, rather than being modeled off a constitutional monarchy, they're modeled after Edo period Japan.
That's not good.
That comes with all of the downsides of Edo Japan. Hereditary class structures that you will literally never leave, and they completely define your standard of living, intense isolationism, and a terribly controlled economy that is really cool for you if you're like the emperor, but sucks if you're anyone below a lord.
Or the Mitsubishi family.
Or the Mitsubishi.
Let's be fair here.
You're a lord.
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
You're a lord.
Yeah.
Think about a lot of these business families you're thinking of in Japan have their roots in a lot of like feudal era lords.
Well, I think that Japan has newer ones because
they do have newer ones. They did like a reset.
Yeah, the old ones are broken up post World War II, I believe.
Yeah. Well, Mitsubishi was a pre-World War.
Yeah, but I don't think the company's as tightly family owned as it once was.
Yeah, that could be true.
Yes.
The leader.
Do not quote me on that.
I think you're right, though. The leader of the Combine is called the Coordinator, and mandated by Combine law is also God.
I see.
Yes. They rip heavily from Bushido, which comes with the good and the bad. The good meaning that most citizens have an extreme like bond with each other that you can't find anywhere else. They are incredibly united and have a wonderful sense of community with each other. Unless you're lower class.
There we go.
If you're lower class, life sucks. Especially if you are under the boot of someone higher class. If you're one of the higher classes, life is okay to great, with the cool add-on DLC of you can do whatever you want to the lower classes. Fun fact, we're going to go to real Japan. If you were a samurai, if a lower class individual insulted you, you could simply strike them down. Of course, it wasn't without question. You would need to justify it sometimes. But when you consider that samurai would travel in packs of a bunch of people who were either indentured servants or samurai buddies or lords who were their friends, anytime they kill someone, they're going to have 10 people ready to back them up.
Yeah.
Add mechs to the equation.
It's just not good.
It's not good.
It's not great.
They also have like the CIA on steroids. Like they have stuff going on in the background that would make modern conspiracy theorists blush.
So the CIA.
The CIA. And that's kind of just them. Next up is the Federated Sons. And if there was any successor state in the 31st century to create the Concord, it's them. They are a national experiment started by descendants of French and English nobility. And are
the French and English collaborate. I don't believe this for a second.
Yes.
This was written by Americans.
French and English.
This was written by Americans, wasn't it?
This was the period of the 80s.
Where
they probably saw the Concord and went,
where are the original writers of Battletech from?
I think they are American.
Yeah. No. They can't. The English will be dead.
I know you two can't stand each other.
Yeah, the English will be dead before they drive on the same side of the road as the French. There's no universe I see that happening.
Well,
no.
If they decide to rejoin the EU, they might have to. Sorry, guys.
No. It's a long standing.
So yeah, they're French and English.
Yeah.
As weird as that might sound, and they're technically a true constitutional monarchy.
Elaborate.
On paper. On a granular level, each planet does have this right to self-governance. So however any planet wants to rule themselves, go for it. They can run themselves however they see fit. But there are rights that the federal government will step in to enforce if they need to. So they kind of operate like us in a weird way. If somebody tries to trample on someone's rights to personal liberty, ownership of property, ownership of weapons, the right to fair treatment, the right to privacy, and the right of any citizen to participate in government, they'll step in and go, No, these are 7 rights, 6 rights that are ordained basically divinely. You cannot step on these.
Inalienable rights. That's okay.
It's pretty
that's
good.
Where we are, I guess, technically.
But above that planetary government is also a lord that is technically absolutely powerful over that planet.
Oh.
They can be ousted. They will do a revolution if that lord is not doing what they want. Mm-hmm. And the idea here is like it's kind of like Americans' electoral college. Mm-hmm. That's basically how they're supposed to function. Is they're technically a representative for the entire planet, but they do have quite a bit of power. These individuals report to a high council of nobles that is supposed to be pretty democratic, as I was just saying, except for the first prince, Hans Davion, in the area of this era, is also on that court. So, like, the leader of the military, the guy who is a descendant of the people who founded you, and someone with a lot of weird, sketchy power is on this court that's supposed to be democratic?
Who amongst us?
If the big man in the room is telling you he wants something done, and you know that he's also the absolute commander of the most powerful military force in the inner sphere, are you going to tell him no?
No, I don't think I will. I think I'll find reasons to agree with him.
So now you see why this is only technically a constitutional monarchy.
Mm-hmm.
Only technically. Also, just as a side thing, his family is the one who made it this way. So,
yeah, probably some bias.
Yeah. Other than that, on top of being the most powerful in the inner sphere, they're also the biggest. You can literally see they de facto have the most land out of all of this, which has its ups and downs. The down is that they do have a lot of logistical hassle, and that also means that their neighbors hate them and want their land. Because you have a lot of it. We can shave some off. Especially you can see green guys here. They are hurting for some land, so they are constantly trying to grab land from yellow.
It seems like red split up.
That is a different...
Oh, it's a different shade of red.
That is orange. That's red.
Oh, well, lights reflect strange.
Your lights reflect weird. Yeah, no, I get you. All right. The next up is the Capellan Confederation. And we're going to take another nosedive in quality of life. They're the smallest of the successor states, as you can see, and that comes with very small dog mentality. They don't have a lot of land, and they're fiercely defensive of it. And I'll be fair, they're so defensive because they were violently pushed to this small of a state.
Yeah.
And, I mean, they only exist as a faction because they felt the need to get together to defend themselves from other people around them.
If they don't, yeah.
So they are literally, from the bones up, built on, like, oh God, everyone's trying to attack us. And that has really affected their mentality. They have been trying to defend themselves from the start to create peace, and that's an amicable goal, but like as they say, the road to hell is paved in good intentions. Yeah. This rabid drive to self-defense is what led them to make some pretty radical decisions in terms of its treatment of all of its citizenry. In the Confederation, you are not born with citizenship. Instead, you spend your life until 15 trying to be your best self to your community, to be seen by the community as someone who is deserving of being in the community. If you're reviewed favorably at 15, there is your citizenship. If you're not reviewed favorably, you've got a 2-year period to get your social credit up for a second evaluation. And if you fail that, you are permanently branded a second-class citizen.
Yikes.
You can also be pressed into military service as a citizen, and at literally any time. Like, we go to war, hey, get over here.
Yeah.
Like, no questions asked. There is a single chancellor who is also divinely ordained, and they're advised by an advisory council whose only real power is tax law and military procurement.
Hey, the purse strings are quite powerful.
This is a faction with a divinely ordained emperor.
Less powerful.
Yes. So listen, yes, the IRS has a lot of power. That's God right there in the terms of everybody else's eyes. So what is the IRS stacked up against God?
Yep.
The Confederation also have super KGB running around, so that's cool. It goes without saying that they're kind of modeled after like Cold War eras of what the Soviet Union and Communist China were like.
Mm-hmm.
So like that is basically the flavor you can see all across. Any imagery you can think, that's the Capellan Confederation.
Okay.
And last, but certainly not least, we have Purple, the Free Worlds League, and their leading House Marik. The Free Worlds League is technically supposed to be a direct democracy, with their territory divided into like provinces, and then each system and planet having their own form of government.
Oh, that's us.
That's kind of. Actually, yeah, you're pretty kind of. They have a centralized federal government of representatives from each system. And because of this, yes, they have a reputation as kind of a U.S. allegory.
Mm-hmm.
My initial response to this is, no, this couldn't be America, because the Free Worlds League ends up being basically a collection of individual corporate or politically interested fiefdoms infighting until another threat unites them against a common enemy, or a strong enough cult of personality installs itself as the new de facto dictator and starts flexing military might on an exterior and interior foes.
We haven't gotten that second one yet, but boy howdy, that first one's pretty accurate.
I'll just let you guys sit and do some soul searching with that.
Yeah.
Though for real.
Because we're like 50 countries in a trench coat.
We are 50 countries in a trench coat.
Until
So
somebody
sometimes
hits
we just
us
do
and
some
then-
infighting until somebody hits us and we're like, I'm getting you.
Yeah. You know, I mean, every state has a rivalry with a different state, but man, oh man, if
When we get hit,
anything needles even the state you hate the most, you're like, okay, what?
No. It's
Yeah.
up to me to
Yeah,
bully
they
them,
suck.
not you.
Yeah, they suck, but you're worse.
You're worse, yeah. Though for real, when they're not fighting the Compelling Federation or the Lyran Commonwealth, which they do quite a bit, they're just in one of those like cartoon like fight dust balls where you like see a flash of like a POW drawing or a face or a fist.
Just, yeah.
And that's just their life. That's how they do that. One cool thing, because of their focus on really letting individual systems and planets do their thing, they are the most diverse collection of peoples in the inner sphere. Like you can find there's manuals and textbooks that talk about like, oh, here's how these guys live. Obviously the Lyrans, they broadly speak German, but there's also some like Scottish, Gaelic, English, and Italian in there.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see they're kind of like
Everything.
Europe. The Draconis combines the dominant religions, as in these books, are like Shinto and Buddhism, but like equally dominant is Islam for some reason.
That's where that was shelved.
Yeah, over here. The Free Worlds League has, as far as I can tell from looking around, literally every deviation of human you can find on planet Earth. Well into the like anyone. They have some specific ones. They're pretty diverse, but they've got some specific ones. They've got some specific ones.
Yeah.
They have like an extra like throw in there.
Yeah.
Like for some reason they're incredibly Islamic.
Yeah.
Don't know how that got there, but that's pretty
Don't
cool.
know how that was shoved together.
They have everyone here.
Okay.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now those are the players in this grand scheme, and you might be screaming, but Koda, what about ComStar? Don't you worry your pretty little heads. The cable company
AT&T.
will worm its way into this as we go. Just keep an eye out for there. Now, the start of the Succession Wars. The first Succession War. Let me just tell you, it's not great. Remember that Kerensky fellow who left with most of the Star League's gear in tow?
Mm-hmm.
The first Succession War starts before he's out of radio range.
Oh, wow.
He's
It's
still
immediate.
within the borders. He is in like this area
Oh.
before
It
it
just immediately descends into chaos.
immediately all social fabric disintegrates and they're at each other's throats again. In the preamble, before he's even left, the successor states are all kind of needling each other at that point already, debating. So obviously I was best friends with the First Lord, right? So I should take the Star League throne. No. I gave him like a wonderful Bugatti from the 21st century. I should be the First Lord.
Of course.
No. And that just goes on until like that little sizzle comes to a violent boil as the coordinator of the Draconis Combine in 2786 just straight up says, nope, it's me. And just makes a dive for it.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone disagrees and immediately moves to military action.
Yeah.
And so that's where the first battle royale for the Star League comes out, and everyone is immediately throwing like everything in the kitchen and the kitchen sink at each other.
Yeah.
You may look at Battletech and think that it's mostly defined by mechs, and you'd be right to think that. But the first Succession War is defined by something bigger and badder. Warships. We glossed over them in our last chat, but I'll talk about them again because I don't think I covered them well. I just said these are a thing, but, you know. In Battletech, jumping from place to place is a very tall ask. It is an expensive and large piece of technology that you need to do so. Most ships are only like really equipped for travel inside solar system, and even that takes days. So what they need to do is they need to take a bus, i.e. the jump ship, to cover long distances to other star systems. Warships break that rule because they can just do that from wherever. Mm-hmm. Not only can they do that from wherever, they can also field other battleships inside them, carrying them.
Oh, God.
Mechs, and dropships to invade planets. So they've got everything. So rapidly, all of the 5 houses start throwing their entire stock of warships at each other because they can just launch into somebody
Portable
else's...
armies that'll show up instantly.
Exactly. The rat race to the throne in the early years is defined by each of them, like, just burning each other with these things. Yeah. Like, the get-along chirp is gone at this point, so they don't even decide, hey, what are the fair rules of war? They will drop these warships into someone else's system and orbital bombard civilian population centers.
It's bad.
That's just on the table.
It's bad.
Broad nuclear warfare, back on the table. We're just nuking each other now. Chemical weapons, also back on the table. Biological warfare, on the table and in active development. Which is going to go into an offshoot alternate universe that they sell $100 a box for, but I'm not going to get into that now.
That's positively reasonable. Compared to 40K.
Compared to 40K, yes. The fighting is nigh on apocalyptic and all-encompassing. And this doesn't just affect like people and infrastructure across... Yes?
Sorry, slight side tangent. So that's a side... I thought that was part of the canon, the Gothic one?
Yeah, no, it's on the side. It's an alternate universe thing.
Oh, it's not happening live?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I was very
actually, like, the point we're at right now is the break-off point to where,
so
like,
that's,
the alternate universe...
At that point, we split off and we get, like... For those of you that don't know, Battletech has created, like... It's very 40K coded. It's
really trying to eat 40K's lunch, coded. Yes.
Like a Gothic. I think it's literally called
it's
like
Battletech Gothic, yes.
And with that, it comes like the mechs now look kind of a lot like Titans.
Look at them, yes.
A lot like Titans. They're fighting biological weapons that look a lot like Tyranids.
Yeah.
But more slovenly. They feel more fleshy.
They're more slovenly and fleshy because they're created by man.
Yeah, it doesn't feel as chitinous.
Yeah.
It feels more like a lump of meat.
Well, you haven't seen all of them. Some of them are chitinous.
Okay. So, yes, I saw that and I was like, ooh, very interesting. I thought it was just like a thing happening.
No.
Okay.
It's an alternate universe. This is the break-off point. When I say biological weapons in active development, that is the break-off point. Those go like haywire and create Battletech Gothic.
I love it when the break-off point is the First World War. Of 5, of course.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, 4. Oh, that's not bad. Okay.
4. Technically, there's some like minor hotspots, I'll call them, after the 4th that lead us into the next era. But 4.
Okay. Sorry, I was just I
had
to clarify that because I know who it's targeted at. It's me.
Yeah, and I'm glad you like it, honestly. But yeah, the fighting is all-encompassing, and it doesn't just affect like people and infrastructure. It also affects like the knowledge it took to get us here. As population centers become targets, scientists and engineers become casualties. And not only do they use like lose like skilled labor force, they also just use like they lose information banks. Data centers get blown up. Stashes of Starleague tech were already stashed away, but anything outside of them gone. So the 5 houses really lose like a lot of information to all of this like apocalyptic warfare. Kind of like a lot gets forgotten, setting the scene for Lost Tech later on. I will bring that term up later, remember it. You know, the opening of Disco Elysium describes like planet Earth as a bunch of apes duking it out. Give the apes nukes and you've pretty much summed up the entirety of the First Succession War. There was like no military or political problem to which the solution was not just sending them a pocket sun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, While everyone is fighting, there are some very notable and distinctive fights that happen in this first succession war that will go on to shape the Inner Sphere's landscape from this point on. I'm not going to talk about every important battle, but some of the big hitters that you will have to remember. Firstly, if you hadn't already gathered from their early claim to lordship, the Draconis Combine was extremely power hungry in this conflict. So a lot of their part in this can simply be boiled down to being the objective villains in this story.
The aggressor.
They were massacring Lyran population centers under their noses, knowing that the Lyrans would assume the Geneva Conventions were still being followed, and they could freely and safely just defend infrastructure. They heard a rumor that there might be a Star League cache of technology somewhere on a planet, and their strategy to find it was violent interrogation of the population, including a warning shot of nuking the planet's capital. Yes, did say that was their warning shot.
Nice.
The Capellan Confederation loses quite a bit of land off its left side, and the Free Worlds League, it has like a thumb around this area of the map. You can tell it's not there anymore. The Lyran Commonwealth takes some significant losses, keeping itself secure. The most brutal fighting happens on the border here between the Federated Sons and the Draconis Combine. They'd spent most of the First Succession War absolutely ripping each other to shreds. The entire duration of this time. And that's not great for either, but worse for the Federated Sons because they were kind of losing this entire endeavor. Yeah. The Combine had pushed their boundaries back all the way to their capital world, which is...
the joint...
I think it's this one?
The joint English and French offensive was failing to the Japanese?
Yes, quite.
Wow. Wait, hold on. Sorry, I'm just thinking about this geographically. Wait. So it's England and France merged together, let's say.
England and France merged together,
against Japan and most of the Gulf states. Is what I'm gathering.
Yeah.
That's a theoretical.
Right?
Yeah.
So while they were winning and doing a victory lap on one of the planets, the coordinator at the time, like the Emperor guy, was taken out by a sniper shot.
Of which side?
Of red.
Oh, of team. Okay, okay.
And his son, hearing this, rose to power. His first order: kill them all.
Ooh, that's never a good order.
No,
Ooh.
Never a good order. No. And so they spent the next 5 months doing exactly that. Luckily, they weren't able to fully complete their campaign on this planet, as with just like 10% of the population left. Yes, just 10% of the population of this entire world left. News of this planetary massacre was leaked by none other than the agent of the freshly minted ComStar to the entire Inner Sphere.
Ooh.
And no one liked that.
Yeah, nobody likes that.
Namely, the Federated Sons were really upset at the treatment of their citizens, and the Combine was upset seeing that their nation was capable of such an act. So this led to like two fun things that kind of reset the status quo between them. The motivation to fight was immediately redoubled for the Federation.
As that.
And the Combine had one of its biggest mercenary contractors, the Eridani Light Horses, immediately break their contract and start fighting for the other guys.
Do you know how bad you have to be for Blackwater to leave?
For Blackwater to leave you and go, no, thank you. Yep.
I didn't sign up for this.
Yep. This actually leads to like a fun sub-conflict with the horses too, because they left the planet they were stationed on, and immediately the Combine like captured all of their families when they left, executed, and then sent videos of the execution to them.
Yeah, it's not good. Yeah,
so obviously the horses took that extremely well, and no, they didn't. They waged an entire campaign to capture and do away with all of the leaders on that planet.
Yeah,
and that's how the First Succession War kind of like goes and ends. It's not really like the war ends with like a peace treaty. I think these two have a peace treaty, but it doesn't finish. There's no like World War II, we won the war style celebration.
Victory Day,
no victory day, no banners, no confetti. It's just, gotta take a breather. That's how the First Succession War ends.
Ooh.
Yeah, for everyone. They just kind of exhaust themselves to the point where they can't throw any more punches, and so they stop. At this point, 9 out of every 10 warships are destroyed, and most of the shipyards to make them are also gone. Most houses' militaries are just in red line go down, with the Lyrans really only being... they're the best, and they're only able to muster 60% of their total forces by the end of this. That's it. The only people who are able to claim some semblance of victory are the Free Worlds League, who didn't lose as much technology in the conflict and were able to gain some ground on this side for to make up for losing the thumb.
Poor Green.
Yeah, poor Green. You say, as the big, like, literally the, like, evil KGB villains that we portrayed the USSR as.
Yeah.
They are actually what we propagandized about them.
Oh, were they really?
Yes. Yeah, so that's kind of how that ends. And after 35 years of fighting, 9 years later, they're going to get back to it again.
Yeah.
It's not a long break. It's really not a long break. 9 years, and they're still kind of like needling at each other the entire time.
That means you probably have veterans of the first one who got called to serve the second one.
Yes,
they weren't done yet. Wow, that's
listen,
not
the
great.
first one, the break in between, it's literally, it's just a breather.
At least World War I veterans didn't have to do two, you know?
No, well, some of them did, but not all.
Not
a lot.
Super not many,
not a lot.
Man. There's enough space there where, like, careers ended reasonably.
Yeah.
You know?
The second succession war is arguably worse than the first, because now that everyone has thrown everything and the kitchen sink at their enemies, we're to the point where the plumbing is being pulled up to throw now too. I mean, don't get me wrong, they did try to glue the basins back together for round 2, but due to some, like, meddling kids, they simply didn't have the time to.
Oh, I wonder who that is.
Behind the scenes, yes. While the 5 houses were trying to re-sort their shit out, Comcast has been in the background realizing just how much power they have and are starting to figure out how to use it. Now, we've had some power dynamic switcheroos in the last couple years as well. Their founder, Jerome Blake, remember that name, he is important. That will come up for every single Battletech video we do.
Oh, Jerome Blake.
Jerome Blake. Remember that. His name will come up everywhere.
Yeah.
He built ComStar up. He's the guy Kerensky left,
Yes.
making sure they had complete and total control of the only way that people can communicate on an interstellar scale.
Yes.
That's cool, but he was thinking too small. Blake simply wanted to keep things stable and cool on Earth until the SLDF came back to sort all of this out. But he died. His next in line decided to take things in a newer, much cooler direction, who spent the years between the first and the second succession war turning ComStar from just your cable company to your cable company with a religion attached.
That's what they needed.
That's what they needed in ComStar.
Yeah.
And so with that comes the heavy use of their inherent soft power over the entire inner sphere. So thinking, it's too peaceful in here. Someone needs to change that. ComStar starts Operation Divine Intervention. Their espionage and security branch starts feeding exact intel on troop movements, structures, and leadership hierarchies of the Draconis Combine to the Lyran Commonwealth, while also running news stories, because yes, they also own the news, about high tensions in the Free Worlds League and the Lyran border.
Ah, lovely.
After being consistently ducked, dodged, and thwarted at literally every corner, the Combine immediately lashes out at everyone around them, much to ComStar's glee, thus officially starting the war off. So after being fed a bunch of intel and going, they're not doing too hot, they immediately run to war. The fighting is, as you expect, immediately brutal. It seems that in this second go-around, civilian population centers are just targets by doctrine. It's no longer, hit them or hit them. It's, no, hit them.
Why? That seems like such a waste. And ethically speaking, both of those are bad.
So it comes back to, like, ye old, like, in the Bronze Age, when you went to war with someone, your goal was not just, like, beat them into submission. It was kill them all.
Oh,
so we've returned to that.
Oh, yeah.
The goal here is to completely cripple their ability to build any weapons to be able to fight back. And so we're hitting civilian population centers because civilians can build weapons.
That's not great.
Attrition warfare simply doesn't encapsulate the full breadth of what is going on here. It is well and truly awful on literally every single front. And the whole time, ComStar is continuing to pull strings in the back. The most egregious example being their interaction with Purple Guys, the Free Worlds League. A higher-up member of ComStar was actually the sister of one of the reigning lords of House Marik, their ruling house at the time, and she was actively leaking his troop info to surrounding enemies, because that's what ComStar do. Which is why it came as such a shock to find out that she was actually playing both sides and leading the Free Worlds League's troops into an overextending and compromised position. Because she also had a leadership position within the Free Worlds League military.
Okay.
So their response, pretty reasonable. Grab that traitor and stop her from leaking more of our stuff. And what did ComStar do? They shut the entire internet off for all of the Free Worlds League.
Oh, that's direct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that put them in an even more compromising position of having to relay orders by ye old carrier system or courier system. As they just couldn't win any fights. Yeah. Everybody else is talking by interstellar communication system. We have to maybe get a ship there and like, the British are coming, messages out to all of our battlefronts. Yeah, so it took them a full 24 years after making nice with ComStar again to retake their land from enemies. They just spend the entire the entire period of time just trying to take this amount of land
to where
back.
They were.
Yes. The Lyrans in this war pull off the honeypot of the century, getting one of their secret agents all the way to like the Emperor of the Draconis Combine's bed. The Combine's next leader, because of course that goes how you'd expect, feeling a bit butthurt that no one caught that they were being honeypotted, blitzkrieged his forces at the Lyrans' most important battle mech factories, which they were able to defend when their actual last warship arrived at the actual last minute. Being able to like take out the Combine's warship, but losing itself in the so that's the last of their boats. That and like other losses led the Combine to like completely end their offensive. They didn't have anything more they could throw at the Lyrans, so that was that front dealt with. The Capellican Federation really spent a lot of this time losing ground. So, like, this is not even... They're small. Or, like, they used to be a lot bigger than this. I think they extended out to this far.
Yeah.
It's not great. Towards the end of the war as a whole, ComStar is still doing whatever they can to throw everyone around. Using their soft power, they would deliberately feed information to each of the 5 houses to target and eliminate key scientists. And they were also making game of letting various communication hubs get destroyed so that those places wouldn't have communications. The idea, like, in total would be that, like, they would build a dependence, because if you have less stations and you have to come to the ones that we specifically control, we can just continue to build this soft power. Mm-hmm. So ComStar continues to be just ready. There is one last thing that we need to cover about the end of the Second Succession War that is hugely significant, and that is that rather than just bombing each other to smithereens, the Federated Sons and the Lyran Commonwealth begin engaging in politics.
Hey.
Not necessarily friendly, but remember that the floor is the nuclear option here.
Yeah, no, that's
it is still the nuclear option.
Having tea, that's a win.
That's a win. Or at least, shooting a message over.
Yeah.
A text message.
Hi.
Hey, you up? Now, before we even have time to process the end of the Second Succession War, the third is starting in 2867, just 3 years later.
Oh, there are 3 Succession War veterans, aren't there? Oh, that's not great.
So, not only are you starting in the first, you are being drafted for the second, and have just enough time to end your life in the third.
Yeah.
And this one is going to drag for a really long time. It goes until 3025.
Okay, so at least this one's
from 2867 to 3025.
It's
very long. As you might imagine, since the timescale has expanded by quite a bit here, this one's a little bit more of a slow boil than the last couple.
Well, they're out of pretty much everything.
They're out of pretty much everything, yeah. And this also leads into the era where the first release of the tabletop is set. So we are within playable time.
First edition.
Yep. And without missing a beat, it's also started in the exact same way the second is, with ComStar's meddling. Already,
somebody should do something about that.
Somebody should do something about this peace thing happening. It starts with the settings version of the Geneva Conventions getting put back into place, so people are deciding officially, we're not going to nuke each other anymore. That was really bad. We're not going to do that anymore. Not necessarily because anyone had any goodwill for the neighbors, but because they didn't want to see any more. They couldn't tolerate any more logistical losses. So like, we're not going to do the mutually assured destruction thing anymore. We're just going to, this is where we're at. We can't do this anymore. I'm not going to go into great length about the historical goings on of the Third Succession War because it would simply be too much ground to cover in a video where we're covering all of them at once. But I'll get the big ticket items and some of the extremely necessary developments. Off the back of the Second Succession War, the Inner Sphere is, as you can imagine, in an absolute state. Most of the people who might have been doing some form of scientific research to maybe try and improve things have either died or been recruited by the ultimate defense contractor / cable company. Every single successor house has been weakened in some way or another and is in varying states of disrepair, to the point where you can kind of toss a stone and end up on opposite ends of the Civ 5 tech tree. I'm like not joking here. I want to paint the picture like clearly. Before the Succession Wars, we were in a fully sci-fi setting. We had warp travel. We had advanced colony efforts happening, terraforming. We were nearing maybe not like a Star Trek or Star Wars level of setting, but like maybe humanity in Halo. After the attrition campaign of the Second Succession War, we're violently oscillating between Mad Max and like Stone Age. You like maybe at the peak have like a hive world, but that's not, it's not great. I kind of liken this, and I said this in the Patreon video, we're kind of averaging out to like a NASA punk kind of vibe, but in the opposite direction. NASA's going up in scientific, and we're meeting NASA on the way down. Mm-hmm. And so that's what you'll see. Like, if you play the video games, you'll see that some of these cities look modern. The cars look modern. It's because we simply bombed ourselves back to the modern era.
Which is really far back relative to 23, whatever.
Exactly. Like, yeah, it looks modern to us in 2026. Mm-hmm. They're in 3025. They're 1,000 years in the future. Like, why do their cities look like now?
It looked like London if it did before the fire. Just say, that's pretty good, except, that's today.
That's today.
Why does it look like that today?
Why does it look like that today?
Not to say like the Spire improves it, but like,
No. So that's the reason, like, it's off. It's really bad. New battle mechs are an absolute pain to manufacture, as you'd imagine. Mm-hmm. Most facilities are gone, and so that's how we get the phenomena of like battle mechs being passed down through noble families, is kind of like, I own this small territory of land because my father had this battle mech and was able to control the population here. Militaries are, as like I said, maybe 60% capacity at most, and that's just normal now. And to fulfill the need for the other 40%, like there's a huge mercenary business. Like everyone's contracting out mercenaries to the point where there's kind of like a joint, it's not necessarily a joint effort of the 5 houses, but like a kind of third party organization called the Mercenary Review Board comes up, and they're able to suggest and hire, like give contracts to the 5 houses. Mm-hmm. Some mercenary groups have loyalties to some specific houses, but like others just kind of bounce around. And like they also violently oscillate between being borderline pirates and like full militaries too. Mm. So it's you have a lot of leeway. If you wanted to build a story in Battletech, you have a lot of leeway. If you wanted to pick a mercenary group, you could go with an official one and like do your thing, or you could create your own and it would fit pretty solidly into the canon. Anything goes here. One of these larger operations are the Wolf's Dragoons, which I'm sorry, I'm tossing so many names at you, but you have to, there's so many things that are important. You have to remember these ones. They're going to come up later. They're notable for having a scary amount of firepower and technology, some not seen since the peak of the Star League. Mm. So,
does AT&T have a thing to do with this?
I don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't know. But some of this gear they have has more value to it than some planets' GDPs. So
I wonder who could afford that.
This is the area where the character of the setting really solidifies into place. Like these things I'm describing, they happen within.
Yeah, now
this
is Battletech.
This is Battletech as you know it to be.
Yeah.
We do close the Third Succession War. Like I said, it's the period of time where like it's the first gameplay setting. It's first edition. Not much is going to change because people were getting used to the setting. So land-wise, the status quo remains exactly the same.
Yeah.
This is how it is. But the political development during the course of the Third Succession War is really, really the definition of how it closes. Like, sudden and shocking unanimous peace deals. You see, the entire time the Free Worlds League, Capellan Confederation, and Draconis Combine were just focusing on their neighbors, the Federated Sons and the Lyran Commonwealth, were actually thinking about ending this conflict with each other, like permanently.
Okay.
They'd been talking before, like I said, but when the Lyran Commonwealth offered a peace proposal to the other houses, all of them denied it except for the Federated Sons. Leading to one of the biggest status quo changes when in 3022, the two ruling leaders of both nations, Katrina Steiner and Hans Davion, draft the Federated Commonwealth Alliance document.
Oh, that's bad.
Laying out a set of trade and military deals to start off with, and then eventually to the complete unification. That sounds cool, right? Both of these guys getting together and having a fun time. I'm going to ruin it really quick.
Sabotages this.
No, the unification is partially possible because Katrina Steiner pledged her 12-year-old daughter's hand in marriage to Hans Davion.
Oh, that's not great.
No, that's
also how it just used to happen back in the in the days of lords and ladies.
Yeah. No, it's only after she comes of age that this is to happen. But IPOing a wife is still pretty weird.
You know what? Unfortunately, shockingly common for most of human history.
Yeah,
I don't like it, but it's
still pretty weird.
Yeah, it's not great.
Obviously, the other states don't take this well. Maybe they don't like the IPOing a wife. Maybe they don't like the alliance. But immediately realizing that this will mean
terrible.
One big nation with a massive territory advantage who also hates all of you is not a great thing. So first, the Capellan Confederation tries to use a Hans Davion doppelganger to try to harm relations between the two of them. And the culprit's pretty much immediately unmasked. Like, he's not doing a good job of it.
Yeah, oldest trick in the book. You got to start somewhere.
Yeah. So they sign their own peace deal with mutual defense against any FedCom operations and an agreement to organize and do whatever they can to break up that alliance with these guys and these guys. So now we're kind of coagulating into like an allied and Axis powers kind of dynamic
I know
here.
who I'm rooting for.
They seem like the most, I mean, just obviously the Federated Sons have some sketchy things going on, but like Lyran Commonwealth isn't that bad, especially in comparison to all of this going on here. I'll also be fair, that secondary like alliance document, the one with these three is really loose with its framing, whereas this one is set to be a hard alliance. They will meld their two borders. These three are more like,
it's a response. If
one of those tries to hit you, we'll come help. You know what I mean? It's a mutual defense treaty rather than an alliance. And that's kind of where we're left at the end of the Third Succession War. It's just those alliances kind of thing.
I'm surprised AT&T's okay with all this.
That's a funny thing.
There we go.
That's not. The Federated Commonwealth Alliance document is penned in 3025, and like that piece that forms afterwards, as like everybody's like, oh god, what the hell is gonna happen, it holds for about 3 years until a couple things start to force the hand of a fourth succession war. Firstly, it's moderately planned. For a couple of years since that document was signed, Hans Davion was using the extra cover and military support from the Lyrans to start a massive intelligence effort to fuel a future war against the Combine and the Capellans, but specifically the Capellans. He really didn't like that whole doppelganger thing.
I feel like the Reds deserve it worse. But
the doppelganger thing.
Yeah, but like that's
He had a personal vendetta after that.
yeah, but that's like a Looney Tunes response. These guys committed war crimes. These guys committed war crimes.
He wasn't alive for that.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Doppelganger thing.
Yeah,
It personally offended him.
Yeah.
He used his deep intel on their troop movements from that intelligence effort to bait them to moving their forces to their right border, and then he staged a bunch of war games to test his troops, also keeping them there, and then he waited for the perfect moment. And that perfect moment arrived on his wedding day, promising his bride the entire Capellan Confederation. That was his wedding gift. These two got married. What shall be my wedding gift? The Capellan Confederation. And that just starts all of this off. The Lyran Commonwealth and the Federated Sons joined forces to make an assault on pretty much all of their surrounding rivals. They really dig into this territory. They want to join their borders hard around this. And so they make an assault like specifically here. The Capellans, because of the intel thing, were here a lot. And so they immediately just crashed through them, taking out a lot of their forces in one go. The Lyran Commonwealth kind of takes this area around. And there's also a lot of fighting happening up here, to which the Draconis Combine respond with something kind of unique. And that's where we're going to get to the curveball that is the Razzlehag Republic.
What?
So, because there's a large push to earn some territory here to make some room for this alliance to happen,
Yes.
the Lyrans start invading here. Okay. Now, what they conveniently didn't remember is that they kind of really colonized a Scandinavian, like, there's no good term for it. It's basically Scandinavia in space around this area. If you find Razzlehag on the map,
there's no hope. That's such tiny text.
Yeah, there's such tiny text. Basically, they colonized a bunch of Scandinavians in space, and the Draconis Combine had half of their territory, made a deal with them. Hey, we'll give you some land if you push that direction and just act as a buffer between us and them. And so that lands an entire new like character on the map, and this is what it ends up looking like.
Whoa.
Yeah, so a big status quo shift happens in this entire thing.
Yeah.
There's also two weird offshoot countries that happen off of the Capellan Confederation.
Yeah.
But again, they are their own video, and the Capellans have a bunch of shit happening. So
I can tell they're very Russian coded because I saw the name Ivan.
St. Ives.
Oh.
Which, I mean, close enough. But yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff happening. New players end up on the board. Technically, two players become one player. But I'm really interested in the Razzlehag Republic. So we're going to talk about them for a second, because in the grand scheme of things, they're probably the like most okay nation that ends up in the inner sphere. Like, their governance is truly electoral. They run on an actual direct democracy, not like the weird things that the Federated Sons have going on.
I thought Space Germany was fine.
I mean, Space Germany is fine, but like, there's still like one person that they all are like, she's the best.
Yeah, but like, you know, who's perfect?
The Razzlehag are better.
Okay, yeah,
they are better.
Yeah, fair enough.
Their governance is entirely electoral. They run on a direct democracy, and they truly for the people, by the people. And like I said, they're Scandinavian, so if you really like everything Scandinavian, it's them. You can find like the Swedes there. You can find the Danes, the Danes. You can find the.
You've got this. What's on top of a shark? What do fish use to swim through the water?
Finland.
There we go.
They're very Finnish.
Yes.
No, there's a fourth one that I'm forgetting.
You've got this.
They're going to be very upset with
I know.
me.
Someone's shouting it.
Someone's scouting.
Come on.
They're
the wealthy ones.
The Netherlands.
No!
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Like, if the tech sector were to crash today, this entire country would be so aware of it. I believe their entire... I could be wrong here. But I think, like, most cars there are electric, which doesn't narrow it down when it comes to Scandinavia.
No, it doesn't.
It's Norway.
It's Norway. Sorry.
The
Norse.
Yeah.
No, the Netherlands are south, because I was like, it's not the Dutch, but the Netherlands are the Dutch.
No. Yeah, it's Norway.
What's going on? Okay, so yeah, if you like Norway, Finland, Sweden, or like Denmark,
There we go. I was like, will you forget it again?
you will love the Rasselhag Republic. I can't remember like any specific names, but they're like offensively, stereotypically Scandinavian.
That's how this stuff usually is.
Yeah.
You know, it's never like an accurate representation.
No.
It's a caricature almost.
But it also doesn't go as far as being the Swedish chef.
Well, I mean, usually like what? They're represented as like Vikings.
Vikings.
That's like the thing that they always get.
Yeah.
You know? Is that what's happening with the Rasselhag? Space Vikings and mechs.
In some places, it's Space Vikings and mechs.
Which is a real part of the culture.
In a lot of places, it's more like the Swedish Empire at its peak. That's kind of how they play, but with a lot more democracy. So I would hold on. I want to show you their logo because it's very cool. Their emblem. Let me.
I mean, I feel like I can picture it just based on the flags of most Scandinavian countries. There's a theme. Like they're each different, but there's a theme.
That's their emblem.
Oh no, that's not what I was expecting at all. But
yeah. No, it's very cool. I do love the Rasselhag Republic. They're like kind of the underdogs.
This is the 2000s, isn't it?
I think this was still in the 80s.
Really?
Yeah, this was like the late 80s.
Okay.
They're like I don't know. They're truly cool, and they're like an underdog in the field. Like truly, they only occupy about that much space compared to everybody else here, and they're they're thrown in as a curveball. Like they're not known about because they're like again intensely colonized by the Lyrans, but like the Draconis Combine does the like stopped clock is right twice a day thing. Is like freedom. We'll help you. And it's like, okay, well...
It's only because I was going to lose anyway.
It's only because I was going to lose. Let's not talk about that.
Yeah.
It's really cool. It's just... I mean, yeah, they happen to be used as a tool by the Draconis Combine.
Look at that.
Other than that, the Free Worlds League only gets a little shafted here in this deal because, like, they lose a couple planets. They don't mind. They actually try to sit this one out as much as possible. I don't want any of this.
Yeah.
To the point where the Capellans are like, we had a deal that if either of those two attack us, we're supposed to help each other. And so they invade like one planet. The Capellans have to ask, and they're like, okay, we got our one. Big thumb. And that's kind of how it is. You saw the map I just showed you. One thing that does happen during the duration of this entire weird territory movement is, like I said, a lot of merc groups are running around doing stuff. And one of them finds something called the Helm Memory Core. In 3028, there's a bunch of fiasco with like a planet was nuked, but it had an SLDF vault, but like the SLDF vault was gone with the nuke, but then this merc group shows up like maybe there's something, and there was something, and they find a memory core, and they're like, well, this is huge. They start reading it, and they realize it is a Rosetta Stone for translating and unlocking every single memory core that's found so far, which means they can get all of the tech they lost back. And this mercenary group is, one, immediately being chased by every single nation.
Well, why would they announce that they had this? Why would you put out a presser?
It was more like the Draconis Combine was following them around as they were finding this, and they saw them pick it up, and they're like, we need that right now. And then as soon as they found out, they have an intelligence group, so they found out, they spread it to the Lyran Commonwealth. The Free Worlds League likes to spy on the Lyran Commonwealth, and so they figured that out. And so like news spread quick.
Yep.
As soon as you figure out we found the Rosetta Stone and suddenly we can start like living lives again, everybody flips their shit and starts trying to find that. They have a little bit of trouble just like, staying alive after this is found out because everybody wants it, but they actually find an ally in ComStar. This memory core, not only does it contain the Rosetta Stone for everything, but it also like it's got its own like storage of like documents and blueprints for a bunch of Star League technology. It basically completely revitalizes the field. Like, I was not lying. Terraformation technology is re-unlocked for people, which means like a golden age starts hitting, basically. Also leads to a golden age of war, because it wasn't just terraformation technology that was in that box, it was also weapons and stuff. So this is why you see, like, through the tabletop progression towards like the year like 3048, 3049, you start to see new weapons getting brought back. Like, you see the Gauss rifle get brought back. I think I've played a tabletop game with you. You remember the Gauss rifle, right? It was something I shot somebody in the chest with, and it did 20 damage, and like immediately they were on the floor. Yeah. That comes back. Yeah, that's kind of where we're at. Is like, we've got a new golden age. There's a new player on the field doing the best they can, and that's like kind of where we land in 3049. It's
More war.
I
mean, it is
more war and new colonization, which really is a good thing. And then we're gonna hit 3050, and something's gonna immediately cut that off at the head, and we'll talk about that in the next video.
Okay. That no teaser, no nothing.
I don't have my guys here. You remember the guys who are like all primed in black and not painted yet? They're going to show up now. Yeah, they're no longer going to sit imposing at the top of the map. They are coming.
Okay, we will see what they are at some point. I guess.
Yeah.
Next week we'll be back to 40K.
Yeah.
Space Marines. It's gonna be fun. Very excited.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you for being you.